Alright, so it really just starts from the beginning with misleading contracts, and then the smoking issue, and then the landlord upset Unit 2. The defendant made tenant responsible for her mistakes, not the other way around, and then the defendant threatened to falsify information on a recorded call, presents false information to me multiple times, and I spoke to a lawyer. I was told to get character references and recordings. Now the landlord is using the legal advice that was provided to me against me and saying that I incite fear. She's lied under oath regarding this conversation with Unit 2, which has my mother as a witness and a recording. I have made the defendant aware of these recordings. The defendant still chose to obstruct justice during a pandemic for something she has admitted to being at fault for, to evict an autistic, LGBT, Métis artist using discriminatory narratives for people with autism, which has subsequently caused damage to my health, home, reputation, and more. And here's the evidence that will show that the story the defendant submitted to court is more than enough evidence of perjury. So let's take it from the beginning in September. This is when I came to see the apartment. It went really well, and I went to sign the lease after. And it was, here are the rules from the Ontario Landlord Tenant Board. It has to be very clearly identified. She had a very clearly identified lease, and there were conflicts with a lot of different things that we'll get to. And, she was very specific down to Q-tips and outdoor fixtures, and we both signed it, and I gave her rent for 6 months. Alright, so on September 20th, I was asked to stop smoking, and this was an unexpected change in my lease. Pressures to change the lease after signing $18,000 contract. I apologized. I was uncomfortable that she would change the lease like this. However, it was a one-time thing because I was trying to quit smoking and did so in October. October 2019, on the 17th, medicine consumption. Defendant asks me to quit consuming my medicine inside. I talked to a lawyer since her last request in September. I did my research. 1. My confined space does not share ventilation. 2. There are no shared connections or shared spaces. Unless it impacts a shared space, it is the other tenant's responsibility to ensure all units are non-smoking prior to signing their lease. The defendant should not have taken ownership of this. The plaintiff is allowed to smoke according to his lease. I informed my neighbors about my medical prescription. They apologized and said it's okay as long as it's medical. I asked them to call me or text me instead for the second time, offering my phone number. So November 2019, I had a really nice housewarming and Christmas party. I invited neighbors to my housewarming. I offered meat cupcakes and homemade lumpias. The neighbors were all out of town. I did offer them leftovers after. Beforehand, I asked permission, considering their schedules, and I asked best times and more. I offered my phone number, and it was a really great night. My mom and I had a really big fight. We were both facing some very serious issues with her health. I was having a meltdown. She was having a meltdown. I needed to have a cigarette. The neighbors complained about my mom smoking outside and me smoking inside during that panic mode by the window. I explained my situation and she did not care. I told her to stop making up her own policies as she goes, and I did not sign that I wouldn't smoke, that this is an $18,000 contract, and to get it right the next time, that I'm not going anywhere, and to stop. She confirmed it was her fault, that I was not doing anything wrong. Then she threatened to falsify information on me to evict me, and I started recording everything from here on this call. This is prior to the recording as best I can. The landlord is in white and I'm in pink. So she finally calls or answers the phone, I can't remember, and I go, Jan? And her first response is, you're out of there. And I'm like, you have to follow due processes. It was one smoke. I have the right to within my own apartment. I was having a meltdown. I don't care. She says, you'll do it again and again. You have to go. And I'm like, what have I done wrong? And she's like, you're smoking and you won't stop. And I'm like, but I'm allowed. And she's like, you're gone and I'll make sure of this no matter what it takes. And I'm like, does that imply you're going to falsify information? And she's like, whatever it takes. And so I finally got the recorder going, and this is where it starts. Here, I'm just trying to get over a very traumatic event. My mom is...
Anything else you want to say, because I don't want to hear about your trauma.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about it. It's temporary.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Like, okay, first of all, yes. I do want to talk about this right now, because I don't want to upset anybody in this house, okay?
Oh, it's way too late for that.
But they like... I've asked them.
People since you moved in.
Who?
You don't care.
No, I do care. My heart is racing right now. I'm very sorry.
You don't care.
I'm autistic.
I don't care. I don't care.
But I didn't do anything wrong. I just had a cigarette in my apartment, and you're threatening to evict me, and you never put in the lease. I haven't done... What else have I done wrong, Jan? Please. Other than having a cigarette in my apartment, what else have I done to deserve you threatening to evict me?
That's the only thing.
But you said I could smoke in here.
I never said you could smoke.
But it says in the lease there's... It didn't say in the lease no smoking.
You can legally smoke in there. Please keep smoking.
So I didn't do anything wrong. You're admitting that.
Listen, you can legally smoke in there. I didn't say you couldn't.
So why are you kicking me out if the only thing I did wrong was smoking?
You smoked in there, and I asked you not to, and you said, oh, no, I'm not going to not do that. I want to do it, and I can legally. And you can.
I know.
You can here, but you have to be reasonable, and you have to work with people, and you're not willing to do that.
I think what you're asking for is unreasonable, though. And I'm recording this conversation, Jan, and I've proven it. I've proven it. This whole conversation has been recorded, and everything that you've said to me on this call just proves that you're unreasonable.
Is there anything else you want to say while I'm on the phone, darling?
You on this phone call, you have been discriminatory, and you have shown me a lot, and I have a lot of evidence now, and I'm very happy.
Good luck.
What do you mean, good luck? But you're discriminating me.
I'm not discriminating. How am I discriminating?
Because you did not put in the lease that I can't smoke, and now you're telling me that I'm evicted because I'm smoking. I had one cigarette in this house.
Aaron, I'm busy. I'm so busy. Is there anything else? Because I really have...
Well, I'm going to go talk to the tenants upstairs right now.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
All right. And I really didn't want this to happen. I'm going to be living here. I'm not moving, Jan. You can't kick me out. But I'm not going anywhere. This is home for me right now. And I will make it home for everybody else. And this is wrong what you're doing. This is wrong. But how you've done this is wrong. And you're a bully.
Okay.
You put it in the lease and be responsible. Be an adult.
I should have put it in the lease.
You should have. You should have. This is wrong what you've done. You've ruined my whole night.
Why don't you move somewhere where you can smoke?
I could smoke here. It said I could.
Okay. Don't get upset.
And the heat doesn't work, so we're going to have to arrange for that. So after the recording, I went upstairs to explain my trauma as I was crying and to apologize. I asked them if they wanted to evict me, that's what Jan said, and they said no, not at all. They are okay with medical, tobacco not, because he has asthma, but we all liked each other. He is a nurse. He comforted me a lot and understood autism, so I asked for a character reference since the only issue is dealt with, and they agreed as of December 8th. On December 13th, I provided a template for all tenants adjacent in their own confined spaces from my unit 4 and 2. As of December 18th, they were too busy before Christmas, but all issues were resolved. Fear did not exist other than my fear and terror of the landlord. Clearly, through her attempts to lie under oath, shows that, she is not afraid of me or the system, and that makes me even more afraid of her. So, according to cannabis and tobacco, if it's bothering me, I can tell my landlord, and if it continues to bother me, then I can file a application for my tenant rights, and it will be determined by case. I told my landlord to stop interfering and ask the tenants to file the application if they think it's a problem, and to stop speaking on behalf of others, because everybody in the house was okay with my cannabis consumption, and I stopped smoking tobacco inside. Nobody had any problems, and everybody enjoyed my company, what I did to the place, and there was no question, and nobody in the house was going to take me to court for anything that I was doing. And so I just told the defendant to get the tenants to send in these complaints in writing, and we'll deal with it at court. So, December still, the neighbors give their notice. The defendant tells me it's my fault. I speak with the neighbors, nothing to do with me. They were looking to buy a house before I even moved in. He wanted to live closer to work. I go back downstairs, I tell the defendant that this is the first time she's lied after promising me that she would do exactly this, and I told her to stop. Basically told her about all the research that I've done. I've talked to a lawyer, and I told her to stop doing this. And I went around asking for character references. I went and my lawyer said to write something up and offer the other tenants the opportunity to write something themselves. December 18th, no heat. I was leaving for Europe this day. The defendant obstructed my enjoyment of vacation because of the lost trauma. I introduced everyone to my house sitters, though. I gave all my neighbors their numbers, asked about the character reference to Unit 2, and they changed their mind. I explained how comforting it would be since I'm leaving today, and they would be possibly gone when I returned, and they did not want to get involved. I wished them well. We never spoke again, and my mom was a witness to our last talk, and they weren't afraid of me. They just bought a new house, and we're planning on this before I even moved in. As you will see from this very quick interaction between Wayne, my mom, and I, there is no fear. I was logical and explained myself, and I had a purpose to everything and being there, and I wished him well. Hey, Wayne.
Hi.
Hey, this is my mom.
Nice to
We've
meet you.
met.
Who's going to be for me while I'm in Portugal for the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
And here are our contact numbers.
Thanks.
So if there's, of course, any issues, you'll have no issues contacting. Corey is a really good friend of mine. My mom has some hospital stuff near the end, so he'll be taking over for her at the last week. If you have any questions, let me know. You have that letter for me now.
Not right now. No, sorry.
What's wrong with that?
We've just been busy with a lot of other stuff right now.
Oh, okay. That would have really eased my mind. Do you mind if you just sign that other one then?
We'll get it to you. We might get it to you later. Okay.
Okay, I'm leaving in about 15 minutes.
There, and if we decide we don't want to, we don't have to. I know that's.
What
Right.
is this about? Sorry.
That I've been
And you're the one that
approachable
complained about
and
the medical marijuana.
and that-
It wasn't the medical marijuana that was the problem.
oh, it was just the cigarette.
Just the
It was
cigarettes.
the cigarettes.
Right,
Well,
right.
That ceased. So.
Yeah, that's all
I don't
done.
And I smoke outside. I don't smoke inside. So.
That's fine.
Yeah, it was just more or less so that Jane couldn't use some sort of lies to, and even though she's okay now, she was saying at one point that she would do anything, and it's a very sad thing that happened.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
But we'll think about the letter and.
If you don't feel comfortable with it, I asked you guys if you felt comfortable with it, and you looked me right in the eye and you said yes. And I do have both of you speaking to me directly, very kindly, very convincingly, that everything is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that I've been a great neighbor, and you agree with that now. Yeah. Okay. And I recorded this as well. I'm just covering my bases. This is what my lawyer told me to do. So I appreciate your time. Perjury. So the only reason to collect character references was to protect myself from the defendant. So her end of December claim is perjury, and the defendant has lied under oath as of June 25th, 2020. The defendant has used an occurrence of someone buying a house to live closer to work and created lies to evict me after promising to lie to evict me on a recorded call. You will clearly see that I had no other purpose to be up there asking for a carriage reference if it were not for Jan threatening to do whatever she can to evict me. And clearly, if I did not get this recording and get this carriage reference, I may have a point against me, and she could have been using this lie, and it would have been her word against mine. But instead, I have evidence, and she doesn't.